Hello and welcome to this is a blast from the past. This is something that hasn't happened in years. Not since COVID-19. Here is Eldin's Ark. So who is ready to set sail on the newest episode and back from the dead, the SS Eldin's Ark? So if you know me, you'll know that I've done a variety of shows over the years. I've done everything. Well, not everything, but some stuff, most stuff. Now, one of my favorite shows in the past was Eldin's Ark. And the Ark later changed to Eldin Zoe's Ark, but obviously I don't have a quote this time, so just Eldin's Ark. And we're back for a solo show. So I don't mean in a sense of it's one show, I mean it's just solo host. Now, what is Eldin's Ark? Eldin's Ark is all about animals, and while I love dinosaurs, Star Wars, Marvel, and much, much more, I've always been an animal buff. Now, I'll keep doing Eldino. I'm going to try to see if I can't combine the two. But for now, it's Eldin's Ark. And I'm so pumped to be here. So, how I'm going to do these episodes, I'll break it down for you now, is we'll do the animal facts, where to find them, the history of them, that kind of stuff. And then in the second part, I'll do news and if you can find them in Ontario, be it a zoo, an animal sanctuary, like a petting zoo, I'll talk about that as well. So with that, I'm excited to be here. So to start the episode, I asked Justin, I said, hey, what animal just name an animal. And he said, the Canadian Lynx. So this is the lynx that he actually referenced, is lovely lynx doing opera. All the photos I'm using currently are used from Pixabay of the photos of the lynxes. So I didn't create them. Someone else did create them. There'll be all the websites or all the accounts in Pixabay I've used will be there as well in the description. The family chart and the tree and the breakdown of the family tree was from Wikipedia, and I'll have the links to that as well. So not mine. Didn't create these on my own, but great photos, and I'm happy to use them. So if you haven't ever been to Canada, or you're not a big fan of animals or cats in general, what is a Canadian Lynx? And I'm happy you asked. The Canadian Lynx is a small to medium-sized wildcat that lives in, well, you guessed it, Canada. It was first described in 1792 by Robert Kerr. Shout out Robert Kerr, he's very dead now. Between then and now, there have been 3 proposed subspecies, with one being a subspecies in Newfoundland. So we have Newfie lynxes, which is pretty cool. Now, this subspecies is known for its darker coat and kind of a variation of its pelt, so different patterns of the spots on its body. Then in 1975, a study determined that this species isn't different enough. So it's kind of like you got a cousin who looks a little different from you. Not the same thing. Now, the Newfoundland lynx, we know, did split off from the mainland at some point about 20 to 33,000 years ago. So I have the family tree to kind of show like what the animal kind of split off from, and it's really cool to see the family tree. There we go. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. No, it's good. It's awesome, yeah. As you can see, though, it's really cool. So the lynx, obviously related to the bobcat, obviously related to the Iberian lynx and the Eurasian lynx. Funny, but no comment on like the lynx here. But the really crazy thing is that the domestic cat and the leopard cat, which not the same as a leopard, but are closer relatives, and then the puma lineage is pretty close too. So lynxes and them, they all split off early. Lynxes are their own family. Very cool. Yeah. So that's the family tree, and now you know all the family. But the 3 subspecies in Canada, not really talked about, unfortunately. Don't really think they're a subspecies anymore. Now, like your cat at home, if you have one, the lynx shares a lot of characteristics. We'll see a picture. I've about 3 pictures, actually, or maybe 4 pictures, I can't remember now, of different pictures of lynxes to show kind of like, if you've never seen one, what does it look like? So all the pictures of lynx are there, and they're beautiful animals. Like the lynx, just incredible. Like the pictures only say so much, and yeah, it's wild. It's definitely a cat. I mean, that screams cat if you look at it. Now, the Canadian Lynx is best known for its long, black tufted ears, small, stubby tail, and fluffy, dense fur, and large feet with furry pads. Now, the pictures only do so much justice to kind of convey the size of this wildcat, which is really incredible. The sizes do vary, though. That's the one thing I do want to mention, is they have this thing called sexual dimorphism, which means the males or females are bigger than each other. In this case, the male lynx is bigger than the female lynx. So these sizes are all based off of males, not females, because the females are much smaller. Now, it stands at about 48 to 56 centimeters, or 19 to 22 inches, which is just absolutely massive at the shoulder. Like, that thing's huge. That being said, in this case, its hind limbs, which are the back legs, and its front limbs are a little off kilter. So its hind limbs are longer than its back limbs. So it kind of gives it like a lowrider stance. It's almost like it's like jacked up in the back. Really cool looking cat. Now, 46 centimeters to 56 centimeters, half a meter. Not a huge animal by any means. If perspective-wise, I'm 6'2", and I measured it in the office today, and that's up to my kneecap. So not a very big animal. Now, they can be up to 73 to 107 centimeters long, or 29 to 42 inches long from tail to nose, and can weigh upwards of 37 pounds or 17 kilograms. So not a very big cat. Like, that's still hefty. My friend's cat Yeti, I think, weighs close to 20 pounds, so he could take on a lynx possibly. Now, the really cool thing with lynxes are these guys have been juicing. Now, their muscle mass, so it's called a skeletal muscle mass, which is the muscle that you can use to move your bones. It makes up 56% of their body weight. Like, that, on humans, like our bones and all that jazz, like, weigh quite a bit. But like, you have a cat that weighs quite a bit. That's 56%. That's a big animal. Now, skeletal mass refers to the total weight of your skeletal muscle, the muscles you can voluntarily control and use for movement. So, like, finger muscles, arm, leg muscles, all that kind of jazz. So let's get into, what they look like. What's the point of it? So their fur helps to keep them insulated in colder times of the year, and also helps when they're in water. So they don't enjoy water like some cats, but their fur is like double layered. So in the winter, it keeps them nice and warm, and in the water, it doesn't soak them to the bone, and they get like hypothermia and die. And like their fur, their feet are also highly adapted to help them in hunting and living. Now, these big padded feet act like snowshoes. I don't know if you've ever been snowshoeing. I quite enjoy it. With snowshoes, the trick is you spread your weight over a wider area so you don't sink into the snow. As you can see here, like, look at those paws. Those are big feet. And with those feet, they help to kind of distribute the weight. If you step on snow and boots, you just sink. But when you can kind of like feel it out, you just sit there, and you can walk very easily on these huge, deep snow. And the cool thing too, with their feet being broader, they almost act like paddles. So when they can swim pretty well too, which is really cool. Now, where can you find them? And again, I'm happy you asked. As I said briefly before, the Canadian Lynx can be found from Alaska all the way across Canada, as you can see from this lovely graph, and into many of the northern states. Now, there's a reintroduced one there. I don't really count that. And a possible resident, I also don't count that, because again, we're not entirely sure. But that's a huge area. Like, that's all of Alaska, almost all of Canada. Like, I don't think there's a province or territory that lynxes don't live in, which is incredible. Like, they are everywhere. So while the lynx has been displaced in some northern states, it was found living in pockets of boreal coniferous forests that extend into deciduous forests. So coniferous forests is like fir trees and things like that, spruce, other trees that have needles. While deciduous, different, like pine like oak, I believe. Now, in all the ranges, it's known to live in dens created from downed trees, shrubs, or other places that are out of the wind and the rain. So again, if you're going to live in the woods, you don't want to get like soaked in the rain every night. You want to be safe. So some downed trees work. It really depends on what's going on. And if when living in these areas, you probably won't see many different lynx, which is really cool. So they're known to live in this intrasexual territories, which means males or females will stake a claim on a territory, and any male or female that enters will be chased off. It's not mine. It's my house, not yours. Don't come in here. You have to go. And the other thing is too, they're solitary hunters. So you're not going to see like a lion pack. It's going to be one usually, or a mom with cubs or kits or kittens. Now, lynxes, I said lions and I'm talking about it. Lynxes will actively avoid areas with human activity too, which is pretty funny. So if you have, it's funny / sad. If you have an area that lynxes have been living in for 25, 60 years, and all of a sudden humans show up, they will leave. We cause too much disturbance in their ecosystem, and they don't like that. So what do they eat? You guys have great questions today. So the Canadian lynx is a carnivore, obviously, preying on hares, rabbits, birds, and other small mammals. The snowshoe hare is the primary food source of the lynx, and so much so that when the hare's numbers are down, the lynx's numbers go down as well. So we have a graph kind of showing the lynx and hare up and down history. Really cool to think that this graph that is going to be up now shows just how crazy these things are. I think we'll get it. Oh, that's my bad. I think when I put it on there. So it's not, there will be a graph. There will, well, don't worry about it then. I may have screwed up, my bad. With said graph, it would look pretty wild. I know it's on my computer, so it's half the battle, I guess. So this graph would show hare numbers spiking and lynx numbers following that spike. So every time the hare population explodes, lynxes explode in population. When there's more food, obviously, you can have more lynxes. With that being said, since the snowshoe hares are actively, they're only really active during the evening and nighttime, the lynxes also mirror this. But lynxes aren't wholly nocturnal either. They're actually active during the day as well, but again, are more active during the nighttime periods of their prey. Now, this nighttime hunting means they have to have adaptations that allow them to catch their prey. In that sense, they have exceptional eyesight, and supposedly they're able to see prey up to 250 feet away, which is incredible. And, of course, the little paws make it really easy to sneak up on things. So moving on to the news aspect. That's kind of my breakdown. That was like 3 pages of notes. So we're going to do just the news breakdown. Now, it's goodish/baddish news. We have no news about lynx in Canada currently, so I'm taking this from the States. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has done something kind of questionable in a good way and a bad way. So on January 28th, 2025, the service, that is the Fish and Wildlife Service, moved to protect the Canadian lynx in the lower 48 states. Again, as you saw from that graph that picture that was up before, there's not a ton of lynxes in the lower 48 states. They've been reintroduced to a pocket in the middle. That's not much. Sounds good, but it's really not. So as you can see again, that little orange pocket, that's not really much there. So you're telling me we're gonna protect those lynxes? Well, what lynxes are there? This would span 19,112 miles across Colorado, Idaho, Montana, New Mexico, Washington, and Wyoming. So that's a lot of states. There's more, of course, in there. The Fish and Wildlife Service has stated that outside of Canada, these states are key to the Canadian lynx. But here comes the double-edged sword. While adding this a new area protection, it would also remove protection from over 6 million acres, including the Rocky Mountains. So it's a very weird offset where you're saying, hey, okay, we're going to protect the lynxes in these 48 lower states, but we're going to take away the protection from the rest of the spots. So again, it's a very give and take, but almost you're taking away more than you're giving. So hopefully it doesn't affect the lynxes too much, but the nice thing is at least they're in Canada and they're safe here as well. So if you wanted to see a lynx, where would you go? And I don't mean, go to a forest. No, currently you can find them. I found 4 zoos, and I know of 2 of these zoos. So the Canadian lynx is currently found at the Toronto Zoo in the Canadian Domain. So if you've ever been to Toronto Zoo, Canadian Domain's kind of the forgotten spot. It's down that huge hill. It's got moose. It's got a raccoon pit that I think they just leave empty and the raccoons fall in. But there's lynxes there. Pretty cool. With that being said, though, it's got that big hill. So if you ever bring a wagon to the Toronto Zoo, that hill it's a pain. You're gonna get your workout for the day. They're also in the Seneca Park Zoo, where a pair of lynx that are named Bianca and Albert live. Now, Bianca is a mom, funny enough, and she's a mom of one Stanley, who now resides at the Trevor School Zoo. No idea where that is. Then the Kilman Zoo, or Kilman's Wildlife Sanctuary, has a couple of lynx and bobcat. And to finish us off, the Safari Niagara, its website says that it has Canadian lynxes listed as animals, but you don't really see it on the website. So there's a possibility that you could see lynx there, possibly not. If you want to see them in real life, though, there's a better chance of finding them in the wild. There's some great spots in Northern Ontario. But closer to home, recently, we've actually had spottings of lynx in Halliburton and Algonquin, which is so cool. I love Algonquin. Usually I wear a sweater that says Algonquin, one of my favorite provincial parks in the world. So a lot of cool stuff that you can find there. And that's pretty much the episode. It's not crazy long. Eldin's Arc used to be three animals plus music. Now it's just me talking about animals. So I wanted to thank Alyssa Sanford. She originally created the original logo. Our original logo she would do every week, and it really was nice. But we have this new logo, and I can thank Dan for this. So Dan, as always, thank you so much for the hard work into this. He is an artist in the making. Just an amazing job. So as you can see, that's me with my little Riot Radio shirt that I used to wear. I'm really happy with this one. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram if you want to ever give me some suggestions for animals. So I'd love to hear from you at home about the animals you like to talk about. You can find me on Instagram if you type in my name, which is just Eldin Atkin. Any suggestions are welcome. Tell me how you feel about this episode. And I want to say thank you so much for joining me today on Eldin's Arc. It's been a long time coming. I'm happy to be back. And yeah, so your cruise tickets, not refundable. You're stuck with me. And we only make landfall about once a month. So with that being said, don't get seasick. I'll see you next time, only on Eldin's Arc, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca.